Marc Miller is a Mark Carney cabinet minister who is a holdover from Justin Trudeau's time. Frankly, so are most of them, from Melanie Joly to Francois-Philippe Champagne to Anita Anand. It's a laugh that Carney is calling his government new in any meaningful way. And it's a laugh, especially to see them say things like, Canada is back, when they've been running things for a decade. The only thing more outrageous is their ongoing attempts to blame Stephen Harper for anything, really.
What is his theory on why Canada, after a year of his leadership, has the highest food inflation in the G7? Why is it that single mom, seniors, and small businesses are seeing grocery prices rise faster here in Canada under his leadership after he promised to stabilize them than people in any other G7 country? I've offered my theory that it is his many taxes on farmers, fishers, food processing, and fertilizer. So once again, if it's not all of his taxes on food production that's giving us the worst record, then what is?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one of the impacts, according to TD Bank, on food prices is the fall in the Canadian dollar caused by the obstructionism of the members opposite before this government came in place.
They're actually blaming Harper's government from 11 years ago. Well, one of the worst holdovers in the cabinet is Marc Miller. I'm surprised he's still in cabinet because his chief expertise was, being part of Justin Trudeau's frat boy style wedding party. You can see the others in that picture, like the awful Seamus O'Regan and Gerald Butts. That's why Marc Miller is in power, because he was the wedding buddy of Justin Trudeau. There's no other reason. He has no other skill set. So he's the Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture now, which is a terrifying title in itself. I mean, he's in charge of your identity. Of course, the Liberals don't believe we have a Canadian identity. More than 10 years ago, they were saying Canada is a post-national country, more of a hotel than a homeland. Marc Miller himself was in charge of immigration for a while, just shocking, massive, irresponsible immigration that did more to damage our Canadian identity than almost anything else. I mean, the Liberals are the ones that tore down statues and stopped John A. Macdonald from being on our $10 bills, just stripped him off the bill, rewrote our national anthem, said we're committing genocide against the Indians. So yeah, you'll forgive me if I don't take my direction from them on national identity. But look at what he said just the other day before a parliamentary committee. He was asked some questions by the Conservative critic, Rachel Thomas. I'll play a fair bit of this. Here's her question that's pretty self-explanatory. She wanted to know what he meant by a certain phrase.
You recently made a statement after becoming minister that part of the responsibility of CBC is to foster what you called, quote, social cohesion. Can you explain for the committee what you meant by social cohesion? The reason I ask is because experienced journalists have stated that these words, this term, is often used by the People's Republic of China to mean state control and zero tolerance for challenges. That seems counter to the values that we hold here in Canada, and so I'm curious as to what you meant by social cohesion.
Now, I think it's a fair question. Social cohesion is the Chinese New World Order phrase meaning obedience to the government. Of course it is. Now, in the UK, social cohesion means something else. It means not talking about Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, because that's Islamophobic, that's divisive, you see. So just brush it under the carpet. That's what social cohesion means in those two places. So what does it mean here in Canada?
An age that we're all living through of intense disinformation, there is less social cohesion as falsities are propagated through media sources, both legitimate and illegitimate, integral to a healthy democracy. Indeed, the fourth pillar of our democracy is a healthy media ecosystem that exercises rightly its freedom of expression. Again, integral to that is a state-financed public media that is the CBC or Radio-Canada, not state-controlled. Indeed, the CBC's mandate is one that is ferociously independent, and we should all defend that, whether they're saying good or bad things about us. So when there is a lack of support for a public broadcaster, I think that contributes to the spread of disinformation, and social cohesion is therefore affected. It's not about any sort of command and control of the media system that you may see in other countries, but indeed in part of an integral to a healthy democracy.
Yeah, I don't think he made that much better. In an age that we're all living through of intense disinformation, there is less social cohesion as falsities are propagated through media sources, both legitimate and illegitimate. What does that mean? What's an illegitimate media source? And says who? What are the rules? Can I see them, please? Now, I agree that we are in an age of disinformation. You just saw a man go on a murderous shooting spree, and the police and the politicians and most of the media all said it was a woman or a woman in a dress. They even put their emergency notification out to send to cell phones that it was a woman. So does the minister think that the CBC state broadcaster, which was the craziest about using the right pronouns for the murderer, and which bizarrely, they kept using the murderer's first name, Jesse, like he was a friend of theirs or something? Now, would the minister call that disinformation? I mean, it was a lie on purpose. I think that's the definition of disinformation. Or as I think he would say, that's the social cohesion part. Covering up the truth with an attempt to calm down outrage over a transgender killer. What's even scarier is that he says the answer to everything, the basis for everything, is a dominant CBC state broadcaster. He's not even pretending otherwise. He claims it's totally independent, by the way. Yeah, sure. On everything from global warming to their war against Trump to their propagation of transgenderism, there's not a single issue upon which they disagree with the Liberals. And Miller says he needs that state broadcaster to be as strong as possible, as in they should be the only legitimate voice, really. Oh, and just a reminder about how independent media are when they're financed by the government. I don't know if you've seen this. Here's a Liberal MP, Tlaib Nur Mohammed, telling a reporter for the National Post, let me quote him, "Your paper wouldn't be in business were it not for the subsidies that the government that you hate put in place, the same subsidies your Trump-adjacent foreign hedge fund owners gladly take to pay your salary." Whoa. Yeah, that's the reality. Not Marc Miller saying, oh, no, we're very independent. We would never try to control the media. Yeah, tell that to your seatmate. Liberal MP just told a journalist to be obedient because he pays for her. Not the taxpayers, not the public interest. He does, as if it's money out of his own pocket. This reminds me of Marc Miller's best friend, Justin Trudeau. You know, there's the truth, which only Trudeau knows, and everybody else, why, they're unacceptable. Remember that?
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
I mean, sometimes he couldn't even tolerate us at all.
Oui, on va s'en sortir de cette pandémie par la vaccination. Puis on en connaît tous des gens qui sont en train d'hésiter un petit peu. On va continuer d'essayer de les convaincre. Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination.
Qui sont extrémistes.
Qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère?
Don't think those are just words. They arrested people, seized hundreds of bank accounts. That's what they did over a peaceful protest that just happened to embarrass the Liberal Party. They put people in prison over that. But now with their new censorship laws coming, they'll go much further. I predict they will use the independent media's coverage of the transgender mass murder as an excuse to bring in more censorship. Mark my words, they're going to use it as an excuse. They'll use it to ban guns, but they'll also use it to ban words.